Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. You can call me Mr. Johnson. This is my video on DEI and woke. I'm a left-leaning independent, and I have a few things that I feel like needs to be said to the left-leaning people of this country, especially the entertainment industry. So, I decided to make a video. This originally was going to be part of my open letter to the Disney board, but for various reasons, I felt like I needed to make this its own thing. I want to start by talking about terms like woke and groggy. I feel like I often hear people talk about woke, but they don't ever seem to have the same definition. At least for today's presentation here, let's all get on the same page. I also want to talk about groggy. Never hear anybody talk about that. Maybe I can add that to our cultural lexicon. I'm going to talk about history of woke, as well as why woke now. I want to talk about DEI, and I want to talk about what we can do about all this to make things better. So, we have a definition here for woke from the Cambridge Dictionary. It's a small little definition, really not too bad, but I really felt like it did not incorporate everything that I feel woke is. So, we have my own definition here. Woke is a mental state characterized by three things. One, being mindful of the social and societal problems around you. Two, a willingness to question what others tell you to believe. And three, a desire to find solutions to these problems using compassion and understanding. Of course, asleep, we're going to say pretty much the opposite. And let's get to groggy, also a mental state characterized by being aware of the social problems with either a willingness to believe what you're told without question, or an attempt to fix the problems by perpetuating hate, anger, and or revenge. Most of the time when you hear people talk about the so-called woke mob, they're actually just groggy. They haven't achieved full wokeness. Someone else told them, be angry. This TV show doesn't have enough black people. This TV show doesn't have a gay. Be angry. And they get on their computers, type. This is not solving the problems, okay? This is only making things worse. You're perpetuating hate. You're trying to get things canceled out of a need for striking out against these things like revenge. No, this is not going to work, okay? Now, we hear a lot of go woke, go broke recently. But historically, I don't feel like that really fits, okay? Historically, I feel like when we go woke, we get something else. Let's take a look at some examples, shall we? I've got 6 TV shows I wanted to mention real fast. First, Star Trek. The original series got canceled. That is true. One might say it went broke way back in the day. But it's really hard to hold that argument up when you think about everything that has spawned off of the original series. All the merchandise the original series has sold. The whole movie series that have come about because of the original series. It's hard to imagine saying that it actually went broke. All in the Family, 9 seasons, had a finale. I've talked to many people that seem to love it way back in the day. MASH, 11 seasons, had a finale that set a record. It's really hard for me to imagine anybody looking at a woke show like MASH and saying, oh, yeah, that went broke. No. Murphy Brown, originally 10 seasons, had a finale, again, super popular back in the day. It is really hard to imagine that a show that was that popular actually went broke. Babylon 5, cult following to this day, was anti-fascist before we had a term for it. This one, again, might be a little on the iffier side, I suppose. But one of my favorites, and I feel like I gotta stick it on there. Sorry, not sorry? Yeah. Modern Family, for something a little more recent. It's not one that I've seen, but I definitely know that this one is a woke show. And 11 seasons, had a finale. I mean, it really seems like if you're doing woke correctly, you're not going to get canceled early, right? If you're doing woke correctly, what do you get? Well, it seems like you get money. Seems like you get fans. You get a show that lasts. So, let's ask a question. Why are woke shows now going broke? And I think the first thing to say is bad writing. You got poor character development, among other things. And I feel like there's a certain amount of preaching that happens. I feel like these writers, they saw these shows in the past. They grew up with them. They saw these shows that had these moral messages and said, that was a really good thing for the public to see. I want my TV show to have a good moral message. And they seem to have forgotten that that good moral message came with an entertaining show. People watched because it was entertaining, not because it was a good moral message. Now, second, I think there's some DEI practices that are alienating viewers. People are like, oh yeah, we're doing DEI. And sometimes you get tokenism. Sometimes you get misandry. Sometimes you get other things that causes people to go, wait a minute, this just is not that good. We don't like it. When we start combining something like a hate-filled message like misandry with bad writing, what do you get? You get people leaving. People are not interested in that. So, I want to talk real quick. I mentioned DEI just now. Let's talk about DEI for a quick moment, okay? Diversity, equity, and inclusion, but not for you. Some of you may be wondering where I'm going with this. Let's take a look at some groups. First, LGBTQ+. Of course, right? No one's going to question that. Racial, religious minorities, women? Of course, right? How about the cis white male, though? No. The cis white male, so often these days, on the left side, they want to villainize him. They want to alienate him. They say, you're the cause of all the problems. We don't like you. We hate you. Get out. Remember what I said about groggy. If there is a position that is aware of the problems but expresses hate, it's not working towards a solution. In this case, telling all your potential allies among cis white males, get out. We don't want you, we don't like you, and we hate you. There's the door, leave. This does not help us, okay? You know who's on the other side of that door with open arms, saying, hey, look, we saw you were mistreated. We care about you. Just give us your vote. Yeah. Republicans, MAGA. This is part of why Donald Trump got reelected. Not the whole reason. There's a lot of reasons. But this is part, okay? You need to be aware that your inclusion is not including everybody. Your diversity is leaving people out. All right? Your DEI has been failing. So what can we do about it? Well, certain people from a certain side of the political spectrum would say just get rid of the DEI completely, go back to white-centric stories perhaps. get rid of the LGBTQ representation. That's not for me. As far as I'm concerned, we can keep the DEI in our shows. We must be careful not to alienate our viewers. We need to improve the writing. Make sure we're not just checking boxes, okay? DEI should include all people, and do not let it be an excuse for hatred in any form. That includes misandry, okay? Feminism, I need to say this to all our feminists out there in the entertainment industry, don't just focus on the girl bosses. Don't focus on the girls who are going to get up on screen and just be assholes, okay? We do not need that from, continually every time. Include other women as well. Murphy Brown was a strong, independent woman. One of her foils was a woman who was more traditional, okay? Include the other views. Let the trad women, let the trad wives have their say, have their heroes. Let the pick-me's show up occasionally too, okay? Let the girly girls show up. Don't just make feminism about girl bosses that have sucky attitudes. Make it about all women. Now, that's all I have to say for this video. Thank you so much for your time. Hopefully, you'll catch some of my other videos.